Hello family, how is everybody doing? This is Antoinette Hunter again from Amazing Growth. If this is your first time tuning into my channel, you are very welcome. I am a teacher and a developmental intervention specialist, meaning I work with children from all walks of life. I work with kids that are developing regularly. I work with children with developmental delays and children with disability. I also do preschool learning activity on this channel. So if you have your little ones, please feel free to encourage them to watch the videos. It's going to help them, and it's also going to help families with techniques and strategies on how to work with your children at home, regardless of whether they have disabilities, learning disabilities, or they're just developing regularly. So on today's video, I am going to be talking about the do's and don'ts when working or interacting with autistic children. But today I'm going to only talk about things you should do when working with an autistic child or when working with children with disabilities. In a way, it's when working with children with disabilities. Doesn't matter what the disability is. It's going to help you with some nice techniques and strategies on how to cope. I know sometimes it can be very difficult, on a daily basis when working with children in general. Children with autism are as individual as any children. So there aren't any set rules on how to interact with them. But there are some general things that you can consider to increase their likelihood of positive experience. This includes learning what not to do with children with autism and what you can do to help promote a healthy environment for them, or healthy interactions. You can call it communication. But remember, on today's video, we have to talk about one thing, and on the next video, we're going to talk about the other. Unlike other children, children with autism deserve your love, kindness, and respect. The choices you make can inadvertently cause harm, even though you have good intentions. Okay? If you don't know how to engage with them, your intentions can turn out the opposite way. It can be perceived as negative. So you want to make sure that when you're interacting with them, you understand the condition of the child and know how to interact with them, so that way you can create a healthy and a positive environment for them. What to do when working with children with autism. Here are some few techniques and strategies that will help you cope when working with them. Children with autism thrive in environments that are calm, familiar, and supportive because they want to feel safe. But most of the time, we expect them to succeed in places like the classroom, the grocery store, the airport, the clothing shop, wherever. We put an expectations on them more than they can handle. So when working with children with autism, we have to consider not to overwhelm them. They can experience meltdown. Meltdown can involve so many different things. So we don't want them to experience that meltdown. They can retreat to an inner world and stop talking altogether because they don't feel safe for whatever reason. They may also perform a repetitive action like rocking back and forth, hand flapping to self-soothe, just because they are not feeling comfortable. So they're trying to make themselves feel comfortable that way. They can experience tantrums The child cries, screams, stomps their feet, and crawls like a ball, or they can drop on the floor and just roll all over the floor or knock down furniture, whether being in the classroom or at home, throw things on the floor. There are so many ways that they express tantrums, and our job is to make sure they don't get to that level. Often, most parents become adapt at dealing with these episodes. They get used to it and they just try to handle it the best way they can. But always ask if you can help them. If you can help, use a very gentle voice and simple commands. Don't say too many things at the same time. Tell the child, for example, Lily, get up. Lily, please. Can you get up and stand next to mommy? If the child can't respond, stay nearby and let them go through the meltdown, okay? Just allow them to go through the process. When they are calmer, then you can redirect them again or give the same command that you gave them previously with that sweet, gentle voice. Usually, when they are calmer, they'll respond to you. Remember to give them time to respond. Autism can cause slow processing speed. Children with autism need more time to understand your words, especially if they are speaking in a loud or crowded room or environment where there is a lot of noise. You want to give them time to process your information, okay? It's very tempting to get upset or gasp in the conversation, but try not to. Remember, our job as parents and caregivers is to help them to the best of our ability. When engaging them in conversation and asking more questions, when you're asking them questions that they're not really responding to you, you need to rephrase your original questions or look for new things to say, okay? Because our goal is to engage them in our conversation or engage them to a task that we want to engage them in, and the only way we can do that is to tap into their interest, what they like. And sometimes it can be difficult for you to tap into their interest depending on their frame of mind at that time. So alternate topics, you want to alternate your topics. You might switch up the topics to hope that your child or that child is going to respond to you, to join in your conversation or join in play with you. The way to do it for a little child is present them with different objects. If you are sitting down and doing an activity with them and you want to enjoy or join in play, or you want them to join into your play, place 3 objects or group of things with 3, so you can place 3 sets of objects on the floor with 2 items on each one of them, depending on the child, because you don't want to overwhelm them, and let them choose which one, so that way you can play with them on their interest. The bottom line is, you want to educate them, you want them to learn, you want them to retain the information that they are learning, and then you also want them to be functional. So you don't want to frustrate them, right? Another thing is walking away. If the child doesn't speak, you might be tempted to leave the conversation altogether. So you want to leave space for responses while you look at the child expectantly. React as soon as the child does the respond or do what you want them to do. You can do that by clapping. Yay, cheering, good job. Don't fill up the silence in the intervention period. Say, for instance, if you're expecting the child to give you a feedback, they can tell that you're frustrated. So you want to wait for them with anticipation in a very positive way. Your body language should be very open to hear what they have to say. Okay? Research is suggesting that you engage in children's interests. Talk about their interest. Children can be fascinated by almost anything. It's so easy to please kids. This can include maps, recipes, geography, environment, environmental location, like walking with them on the side of the road, at the park, talking about some of the things that you guys enjoy. It could be about a vacation that they remember. It can be anything that interests them. Numbers, some kids, children with autism love numbers, and there are so many things that can gravitate their interest, but you need to have patience to find that thing. For children with autism, talking about those topics bring comfort to them. They enjoy sharing knowledge. They want to show you what they know. So you want to be interested in learning what they know. These children are exceptionally smart. When they show you what they know, they can talk endlessly about the subject without asking for your feedback. It might not only be words. For kids that are under 3 years of age, some of them are nonverbal. Their actions shows through their interactions or the things they like to play with. I have seen a 2-year-old sit down with me in a task, and they blew my mind. Just playing, doing functional play with them. They like playing with, cars. That play is so interesting because what I do is I bring in cars, I bring in tunnels, I bring in blocks into the play. I try not to overwhelm the child, but at the same time add things to make the play more functional. And they can go on. We can talk about shapes, I talk about numbers, we talk about prepositions, and so many other things to draw their attention. They're enjoying it, but guess what? At the same time, they are learning, and they are finding themselves and finding more interest without me actually really pushing and creating drama or frustration to that child. You want to bond with the child or your child by listening to their topics or their interests. Ask questions if you can. Avoid changing the subject. If they're interested in playing with cars or making different kinds of buildings and they're really into it, don't try to change it. Don't change the subject. Don't go in there and try to transition during that time. You are not going to bond with them. This is the time that you build trust. They know that you care. They're happy to show you what they know. And at the same time, you're giving them a feedback with so much praise. Let the child talk and express themselves in the way that they want to until you know one another really well and understand how to transition from one activity to the next activity. Another thing is you want to fully accept the child. Fully accept your child. Some children with autism seems neurotypical until about the age of 2, and then they lose skills they have already learned or gained. It's distressing for many parents to see the regression. You saw your child a year or so ago progressing on course and was doing so well, and now the child seems to be different. You don't want to judge the child's past. Don't judge the child by past behavior or development. Look for things to accept and enjoy about your child. Accept the child the way your child is right now and just try to help them to get better. Give listening ears to parents, guys. It's important that we give listening ears to our parents out there if we're professional. Just as you surround the child with love, and accept them and accept the condition, you want to do the same with the parents. Your support could mean the world to them because they really do need us. You can advocate for our families out there, advocate for our parents by offering them a night off to decompress and get away, just to go out and have fun. If you can, offer to babysit. If you cannot, provide a listening ear to the parents. They really need our support. Schedule a regular coffee date with them or outdoor just to relax and decompress and chatter with the parents or the family. Set up a play date between your child and their child while you guys are having maybe having coffee time together or having a nice meal outside at the park or somewhere that the kids can relax and have fun. The bottom line there is we need each other because we are one big happy family. Okay, so we want to make sure that we contribute our time by supporting families that are going through difficulties with children with disability. They need us. The last thing I'm going to say is always remember to pray. God is the answer. There's nothing that Jesus cannot change. He's not tired of listening to you. He wants to hear you talk. He wants to hear you complain. And he's never going to stop loving you, regardless of what's going on. Thank you guys so much. I hope that this video helps.